Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I like when media outlets or people in general contradict themselves, because that's the easiest way obviously to ask questions. How about that one? And how about that one? And you catch them with a lie. And in this case I think obviously they all lie over there, the mass media, but you're trying to verify with other sources as much as you can. They exaggerate. So I don't know if you remember, but Kadyrov, the Chechen leader, was running out of fighters about a week and a half ago. And all of a sudden we find out that, wait a second, actually the Russians who have been running out of fighters from the beginning of the invasion, now they are so low in personnel, in fighting soldiers, that they need the Chechen warriors to come and support them. Now, if the Chechen warriors, which in another article that I made about, I don't know, like 2 months or 3 months ago, said that there are about 200 or 300 of them, now we find out that actually there are more than that. They are there on the Russian front or the Ukrainian front, and it's unbelievable how they can muster 1,300 fighters just to transfer them from one axis or one place to another. How many are there? I don't know. But it's interesting that they said about 200, 300, and now we jump to 1,300. So the exaggeration is what? So, Ukrainska Pravda on September 10th, 2022 reports that Russia transfers 1,300 Kadyrov soldiers to the Kherson region. I mean, this is obviously a contradiction, and it's either, I don't even know what they want to create here. Like the Russians, the army is depleted, Kadyrov army was depleted. They said that nobody wants to come and fight for them, and then all of a sudden they transfer 1,300. It's because they transfer about 50. Now which one is it? A unit of the so-called Kadyrovites, people who serve in detachment that are subordinate to Ramzan Kadyrov, head of the Chechen Republic of Russian Federation, amounting up to 1,300 people, has arrived in the occupied Kherson region. The source is General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine as of 6 o'clock a.m. on September 10. So a unit, that's more than one, or this is just the unit? Because a unit. And I'm quoting, a unit of the so-called Kadyrovites or Kadyrovites, formed according to national characteristics, numbering up to 1,300 people, arrived to strengthen the Russian grouping in the temporary occupied territories of Kherson Oblast. During the day, the Russian forces launched 13 rocket strikes and 23 airstrikes. Infrastructure was damaged in the areas of Veliki, Prokhody, Avdiivka, Marinka, and about 5 more here that not 5, like 15. Kostomka, Bezimene, like 15 other areas. So the Russians are not really done using their weapons and their ammunition. The situation on the Volyn and Polisia fronts has not changed significantly. On the Sivershnya front, the Russian forces carried out airstrikes on civilian and military infrastructure. Military infrastructure, it's a new one. In the areas of settlements of Slavorohod and Velkia Pisarkiva of Sumy Oblast. On the other fronts, the Russian occupiers attacked military and civilian infrastructure with tanks, combat vehicles, tubed and rocket artillery. It's very interesting that now, not now, but usually when the Ukrainian media outlets report the Russians attacking or Russian shelling and Russian doing this, is 99% of the time civilian population and positions and all that. And now, on 2 occasions, in 2 little sentences, it was also military infrastructure. That's something new. On the Kharkiv front, in the areas of Dmitriivka, Prudinka, and about 7 more, On the Sloviansk, I don't know what that was. They didn't say. They say probably that's the one. On the other fronts, the Russian occupiers attack military and civilian infrastructures with tanks, combat vehicles, tubed and rocket artillery. And they say here on the Kharkiv front, it says area. And then on the Sloviansk front, near settlements of Sloviansk, Dolina, and about 5 more on the Kramatorsk front, near, and it says Krivik Luki, Sidorone, and about 5 more on the Bakhmut front. In the areas of Zaitseve, Bakhmut, and Yakovlivka, plus in the middle about 5 more settlements on Avdivka front near, and then there's another Avdivka, Opitne, Vodiane, and about 5 more where the invaders used tubed and rocket artillery on the Novopavlivka front near settlements of Marinka, and about 7 more. Then on the Zaporozhia front in the areas of, and again about 10 settlements on the Pivden-Buch front, the Russian forces continue to fire along the contact line. In addition, the Russian army carried out reconnaissance from unmanned aerial vehicles. 36 sorties were recorded. So on these areas, they still use the firepower, reconnaissance, and tanks, artillery. Defense forces successfully repelled the invaders' attacks in the areas of Zaitsve, Vesela, Dolnia, Soledar, Bakhmut, and Prevomaiske. Aviation of the defense forces of Ukraine landed 33 strikes, destroying the ammunition warehouse, inflicting damage on almost 25 strongholds and cluster and manpower and equipment. No civilians. During the day, the armed forces hit 18 checkpoints, as well as areas where the occupiers' manpower was concentrated, anti-aircraft and electronic defense systems, artillery units, and more than 20 warehouses with ammunition, fuel, and lubricants. Air defense units destroyed 2 UAVs and a guided air missile, all on different fronts. Well, that is so it's not like the Russians are dying or the Ukrainians are not able to do anything. The war seems to be fierce still, and obviously I looked over the news provided by the Ukrainians, and it's all successes on their counteroffensive. I do not take that as 100% certain, or not even 50% certain. I'm waiting for a prolonged advancement, if that's the case, and not this kind of news. Now, could the Ukrainians break through here and there? Yeah, I think so. Could they push back the front? I doubt it. Not impossible, but I think the chances are minimal. But this is based on not only on I will not base this on the reports, because they all exaggerate or minimize and all that. I base it on the fact that after 6 months of fighting, the armies, the forces should be depleted, both of them. And then I'm looking at the resources. How much can you bring back, replenish from Ukraine? How much can you? What resources you have? Now Ukraine has a population about 40 million or something, I can't remember, something like that. And then about 10 million fled. Now you say, okay, only women fled. Okay, I'm not sure about that. Now, how many people could that be over there? I heard about a number of Ukrainians being on the front, about 1 million and something, 1,300,000. That was one source that's how much they had. Now I said, oh no, the Russians had only 180,000. I don't think you can do what you did with 180,000 versus 1 million. That's one thing. The other thing is, okay, that's 1 million was over there. The Russian advance, how much they advanced? It was a war. Then the Russians, if these guys were capable of bringing 1 million, how many millions can the other guys bring if they want? Now we know their enemy, the army, the active personnel, I think, is about 1,100,000. So 1.1 million. That's how much the Russians can muster. That's the total. Now in this altercation, probably they have about 200,000. Now, how many died? The Ukrainian says, okay, they died 50,000 Russians. Okay, and they bring like 18,000 more or 90,000 more. They have the Kadyrovites and others. There are people over there, that's for certain. And winter is coming, so things will come to a halt pretty soon. In advancement, I'm talking. Well, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.